And this feels so weird just setting things up like this again because I've been gone for a couple weeks, but with everything that's happened, this honestly feels like I've been away for an eternity. But I think that's a pretty good way, honestly, to kind of start this video. So, hey there, guys. I'm SonicGhost, and you're not reading that title incorrectly. The title of this video is not clickbait. I survived Hurricane Ian. So I want to preference some stuff really quick by kind of talking about my kind of personal experience here with all this, and I want to give a little bit of a trigger warning to some people, because if you don't like talking about devastation or seeing maybe any kind of aftermath of that, then this is not the video for you, because I am going to be talking about my own personal experiences through the storm and what has done to not only myself, but the community that I live in as well. So this is going to be a very emotional video. I want to preference that now, but before I go into any of that, I want to at least thank everyone that has reached out to me during this time and gave me their well wishes, asked how I was doing, checking in on me. I've had a lot of messages coming in, and I haven't been able to really keep up. Like, I've gone through a lot, and I appreciate everyone's support. I really do, because that is what helped me get through a lot of things. It really did. So I'm going to give people one more warning. If you're not a fan of hearing about this kind of stuff, you're not a fan of hearing about devastation or even seeing some of the aftermath of a storm like this, then you're going to want to click off this video now. But I want to preference things just by saying that I am okay. My family is okay. And everything is okay. At least when it comes to my own life, my family's life, that is okay. But there has been a lot that's happened. So I want to go ahead now and talk about it. So back on September 28th of 2022, it was on a Wednesday that a pretty powerful storm was on its way to Florida. And for those of you who don't know, I live in Florida. That is where I was raised the majority of my life. I've lived in this specific area of Florida I live in now for over 20 years. I basically grew up here. I wasn't born in this area, but it might as well have been like I was, because I spent my entire life in this area. And I don't want to say where exactly I live, because that is a huge privacy issue. So I'm not going to say the town or anything. But I do live in Southwest Florida. If you've been following the news, then you will know that was the part that got hit hard with Hurricane Ian. The storm came in, and originally it was going to be around a Category 3, which I've been through hurricanes before. I've actually lived through Hurricane Charlie and Hurricane Irma, which are both very powerful storms. And we came through perfectly fine. No major issues. The most damage we've ever had at one point was some screens ripped apart from our house on the back patio. So it's stuff that you gotta still repair, sure, but it's more of the scare going into the storm that was the problem compared to the aftermath. This time, you can't say the same thing. Things were different this time. As that day, it was rough. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It was one of the hardest days of my life. It was terrifying. It was stressful. There was a lot going on, because during that day, lost power mid-afternoon, lost internet service about an hour later, lost mobile phone data around 2 hours later. So at this point in time, this is around, I would like to say, 4 in the afternoon, I was completely cut off from the outside world. And I had no idea what was going on with the storm anymore. And by that point, that storm was no longer a Category 3. It was a Category 4 hurricane. That was borderline Category 5. It was off by a handful of miles, I think, at most. And now, going forward here in time, that storm has now been reclassified as a Category 5 storm when it hit. So I rode through a Category 5 And this was something I never expected to do in my life. This was something that I honestly did not anticipate. And a lot of people have asked, why didn't you evacuate when something like this was coming? And trust me, that was a thought in my head, in my mother's head. We were thinking of this, but we just couldn't. It was impossible at the time, because by the time we got news that storm was coming our way, which was a few days beforehand, you could not leave. Gas was already completely sold out, and basically every gas station you could find, highways were filled up. It was just bumper to bumper, so you could not go. The furthest you would go is maybe a few towns away. It was not ideal, because by that point, you tried to leave the state, you would run out of gas, you would still be stuck in the area. And if we did evacuate, we would have been put in a worse situation, because a lot of the state, and I mean a lot of the state, got hit hard. The hardest part was Southwest Florida, which is where I reside. And that is scary because, again, I did not anticipate things to get as bad as they did. No one did. This storm took a turn for the worst. And that is where things got really scary, because during that day of the storm, we were just hiding out in our house. We have hurricane shutters on our windows, on our doors, so the house was barricaded in, but there were still other concerns during the storm, as we had those shutters closed in to protect our windows so nothing could fly in, and yet they were still shaking so violently because of the winds. We thought they were going to shatter, as we heard cracking sounds from our sliding doors, which are made of all glass. Hearing that, while that was protected by shutters, mind you, completely encapsulating the area, is terrifying, because we don't know. At any moment, are they going to break open? We were in a closet pretty much that entire day, because that was the safest part of the house. We have an interior closet that you can just hide in moments like that for storms. That is the most protected, because during the storm, you don't want to be on any exterior. Like the room I'm in right now is right off of the outside. And this is a horrible place to be during a storm, because if something happens here and a window breaks open, for example, you'll get sucked right out of the room. So we were in an interior portion of the house, away from any doors and windows, and we're in the center of the house the entire day, because you don't know what's happening. You cannot see outside. We don't have any outside contact with the world anymore, because everything is down. And throughout the whole day, we had water coming in from our windows from outside. As the winds were so fierce, it was pushing water from the rain outside into the house. And we're not the only ones to experience this. I've talked to multiple other people in the area, and I've read so many other posts online, and a lot of people said the same thing. That water was coming in through their windows, through their baseboards, and even through the roof. Because in our bathroom, in the front of this house, water was just seeping in from the roof. And that's because of how powerful these winds were. They were tearing apart all this stuff on the outside we didn't know about until the day after the storm. Because the damage for the storm, it was bad. It was really bad. We rode out that whole day. We sopped up as much water as we could, and we just had to just stay protected the whole time. So a day has now passed, and it's the day after the storm. It's Thursday. And we go outside to see what really happened, because now we can see for ourselves what really was going on outside. And this is what's emotional, especially, again, when I've lived here my whole life. I grew up in this household I'm in still to this day. I grew up in this neighborhood. And just to see what happened, it was hard. The next day, after the storm passed, we went outside to see the damages caused by Hurricane Ian. And it was a lot, because during that storm, a lot of things were happening all at once. It was high winds, as now learning it was classified later as a Category 5. These were strong, and I mean strong winds that were ripping apart things all around us. It was tearing apart shingles from rooftops. It was taking apart lanai cages, the screens, the metal, All that stuff around you was taken apart. Trees and even the soffits from underneath people's rooftops, the metal pieces that seal off your roof and your attic from anything getting inside. All that stuff was being ripped apart. And you can see trees in the distance with breaks on the tops of them specifically, which told us that tornadoes were touching down in our area. There was a lot going on in the time that we got cut off from the outside world and we couldn't see anything outside. And it was also a water concern too, because during that storm, there was a lot of flash flood warnings. Those moments that our phones got some blips of signal throughout the events, we were getting warnings about more and more flash floods in a lot of different areas around us. And due to those warnings, we can see what was really going on outside in a small glimpse. But the next day, we were able to see that the water from that rainfall from Ian was still all around us. There's still a lot of flooding in our area and outside of the town too, as we ventured outside of where we live because we had no cell service. We had nothing. So for us to even call anyone to reach out to others just to let them know that we're okay, we had to travel almost half an hour out of our way just to get any kind of cell service because it was so spotty in the area. I mean, you would just be standing outside trying to get service, and no matter where you were, you had nothing at all. There was plenty of moments my phone didn't even load a single bar. And when we were driving around trying to find service, we were finding a lot more damage in areas. And it really made us just thankful to make it out of the storm in one piece. Because we would see things like down telephone poles being like completely snapped in half like a twig. You would see transformers on the ground from those said poles, wires in the street. You would see more flooding in areas that hasn't receded yet. It was so bad that the highways in Southwest Florida were completely flooded. They might as well be rivers because they had so much water, you couldn't even have a car on any piece of the highway without being underwater. It was terrible. And because of this, getting in and out of certain parts of the state, which is impossible. And that's not even counting other areas, too. There was flooding so bad in some portions that it just completely eroded bridges and it completely cut them from the outside world. There's one specific island I'm thinking of here in Southwest Florida. I was seeing on the news, and again, I don't want to name drop too many things. I don't want to give away my exact location, but there was one island in Southwest Florida that was just completely cut off because the bridges going to the island, they fell apart during the storm. They completely gave out. And the only way to get to the island was with boats. People had to travel back and forth with boats just to get to their houses. It was terrible. It was really terrible. My heart goes out to everyone who's been affected by the storm and who especially rode it out as well, because it was a terrifying experience. One person I heard compared the storm to being to Vietnam because they were a vet that went through Vietnam and they said that this was worse. That's saying a lot if you know your history and your wars. That is not a good thing to say. That's never a good thing to say at all, but that was the truth. It really was, and that was hard to hear. But we made it out okay. There's a lot of damage in places, and it's going to take a while to rebuild, but we will rebuild. Luckily, the house I live in here, we didn't get as many big things of damage as other people. Don't get me wrong, we still have damages, and it's still going to take a while to fix things here, but when I look at everyone else's properties, I feel that we were just looked upon and protected, because it could have been a lot worse. It really could have. And I feel, it's just blessed in a lot of ways. It's been a big term going around, but it really is just a feeling of blessed right now, because I don't ever throw any extra stuff in here like religion or anything, because I don't care what you believe in or don't believe in. You do what you want. I'm a kind of person that is accepting of everything. And that's just how I am. But for me, I do have like a religious following myself. I've believed in a lot of different things over the years, but my big thing is I am a Christian. And I do believe that big man upstairs, the Lord was watching over us that day. And a lot of my other family members too that have passed on. I feel that they're watching over us and protecting us, because this is an event that I will never forget. And I feel that I was spared because of what happened. It could have been a whole different story. But I want to go ahead now and just kind of talk about what happened during that time, because I couldn't get any communication out with people. As I mentioned, I had no services at all, starting the day of that storm, up until the day I'm recording this video now. I am not kidding, because I'm recording this video now on October 8th, and that is over a week. It's just like we had like a week and a half of no services at all. It's like a little over that, technically, because we lost power for almost a full week. Then we got it back, and we had internet for about a day. Then it went completely out again for a week straight. And we only got it back today. And our cell phone service did not come back until yesterday, the 7th, on a Friday. So we were without things for a very long time. And due to that, I couldn't really talk to anyone during all this. And that was hard, because it gave you a feeling of being alone. It really did, because I'm so used to having communication in my pocket at all times with a search engine on a speed dial function. I'm so used to that modern luxury. And when you lose it, it feels like you lose a piece of yourself. Some people are that attached to their phones. I say this on like a literal level, like, I cannot live without this. But when you're through a devastating event and you can't even talk to your loved ones because they are out of the state and they are wondering if you're okay and are going to send cops to your front door to do a wellness check. Yeah, bet I want this thing to work. Just saying. So, not having any communication of any kind is hard. It really is. So that time period, it was rough, but I was able to at least get a blip of a message out every once in a while when I was able to find service. And I was able to at least post to Twitter and a community post here to YouTube telling people what was going on. So if you've seen that a few days after the storm, that was when I was getting service. I couldn't tweet it out the day of the storm, the day after, because I had nothing at all. And I had people reaching out for a couple days before I even get that stuff out, because I wasn't able to do anything for a while. And after that, still wasn't able to, which is why I put videos on a pause for a little bit, because I might have all this stuff done. I had videos scheduled way past the storm's hit point and recovery period, let's say, for me getting my services back, because I could have still been posting videos up to this point, but I don't like being able to post things and not check the status of it. So I don't know if the video is going live, but say I have a tweet come out saying part 8 is now live and it shows part 7 on YouTube. It's like, well, that's not right. I gotta fix that. Well, when I don't have working internet or cell phone service so I can connect to anything, that's a problem. And that problem is gonna stay there for weeks, maybe. I don't know how long, because I can't check things. So I had to put things on pause. And I apologize for people who are following the Auto Expansion Let's Play here on YouTube, but things were out of my control. This was a thing that I did not expect to happen to me, and now that it did, it gave me some time to just kind of unwind after all the devastation has happened and just kind of take a breather. Because honestly, even if I had internet access during that time period to still be able to keep up with the YouTube stuff, I would have still put it on pause, because I needed time after that storm. I still feel like I need time in a lot of ways, but I also feel like I want to get back to doing stuff again, like how I was before, because I do need that kind of distraction, if that makes sense. I got a lot of stuff here in my home I do need to fix up. I have a screen that's completely ripped off of my lanai on the outside of this window here. And just to keep things from getting inside of our back patio, we had to just tie up a tarp on the outside of it. So every once in a while now, if you hear something slapping in the background, it's going to be a tarp right outside the window. And that I cannot help for the moment, because I'd rather have that noise than, say, like a critter in the back of my patio that I'm not expecting. I don't want to go outside and have a squirrel jump in my face. So I'm going to take the noise sacrifice as a precaution. So stuff like that I do need to have fixed up, and we're getting a hold of people now to come by and fix things when available. So this is going to be a long recovery process for me, and I feel like I can't take a break during all this. It's too much. I want to get back to doing things again that I feel are in my control. I want to be able to get back to doing video content here on YouTube. I want to get back to doing the live streams over on Twitch. I want to be able to start doing all the other stuff I was able to do before, like hanging out with my friends and just kind of relaxing during these nights instead of having to do anything else, really. Because during the time I didn't have any electricity here or power. It's just kind of sitting around and just talking, listening to like a little transistor radio that we had, because it was the only other way we can get updates on things. And I don't want to go back to those times anytime soon. I like being able to now do this kind of stuff again. I got a whole bunch of stuff to still record, as I'm still in the middle of recording Otto expansion here, and I want to finish that up, and I will be doing that since now I have the power to do so again. And I'm in the middle of doing a Freedom Planet 2 live stream, as we just started up one of the other characters' playthroughs, Carol, and we had to stop in the middle of her playthrough because of a hurricane coming my way. So in hindsight, it was probably good I didn't try to stream that week, because trying to do that on the midst of a storm coming my way of this caliber could have ended in a bunch of different ways. It really could have. It could have been a very stressful experience and would have tainted things, and I'm glad I didn't do that. But this was definitely an experience. I cannot stress that enough. It was an experience that I don't wish anyone to go through. It was a lot, and it probably traumatized me in some ways I can't even describe, which I think a lot of other people who have rode through this storm or even have homes in the area and come back after evacuating can say the same, because this is a storm I think that's going to change a lot of people's lives, which in some ways it's going to be doing the same for me too, because it makes me also reevaluate some other aspects of my own life. And that's the most detail I'm going to go in, because this again it was traumatizing. It really was. But I'm wanting to get back to doing things on a more regular schedule again. I want to get back to making videos and doing live streams, because it is my escape from the real world. If you want to be honest, this is still a hobby to me. So I really do enjoy being able to do this stuff. And it really helps keep my mind off of other things and put it to something proactive and productive. So that's what I'm going to be doing. So starting this week here, we are going to be resuming, at the time of this video going up, I will be resuming the Otto expansion Let's Play here on YouTube. And the streams are probably going to be coming back as well. Keep an eye on my Twitter account, twitter.com/SonicGhost64. Keep an eye on that for specific stream updates, because I might tweak some things here and there as I'm still transitioning back into doing all this content stuff again on a regular basis. So some schedule stuff may not be concrete, or even certain plans may change here and there on like the games we stream, for example. So at least just follow on the Twitter account, because I'll be able to post there specifically if you follow the stream content, what's going to happen with that, or if things are going to change. Because if I do think I'm going to want to do something else instead of like this plan project, because I just can't do it right now, then that's what we're going to be doing. And just follow that account just to be safe, because I can't really post that stuff on Twitch. As a side tangent, remember when Twitch had their own community tab that YouTube basically has now, where they let people update on Twitch with little posts. Can we just bring that back? Because I'm tired of telling people who want to follow me on Twitch to follow my Twitter account for updates. Because I know not everyone does that. So follow the Twitter if you want updates about Twitch. It's just the way things are. It's annoying. But, you know what? I think I've rambled long enough. That's how you can tell I want to get back into doing this stuff again. Because I want to put my all into something that I have control over. And this is something I have a lot of control over. I mean, I run the whole show. If I don't have control over this, then there's a problem. So I'm ready to get back to making videos and doing the live streams again. And that's what I'm going to be doing. Thank you guys for watching this video. And again, thank you to everyone who was reaching out to me during these hard times, you know, going through this devastating storm. I appreciate it. And trust me, those words, they meant a lot. That they helped carry me through a lot of those hard times in this recovery process. Because while I might not have been able to respond to everyone's posts right away, I was able to read them here and there whenever I had service and when things were starting to come back up. So I appreciate everyone who has sent me messages asking how I'm doing and just checking in on me in general, because that means the world to me. It really does. Thank you guys for everything. I appreciate it. And I guess with that, it's going to do it for this video. So thank you guys for watching this. I know it was definitely a lot. This whole experience was a lot, so I had a lot to talk about. I guess I'll see you guys back on the channel for something more uplifting. I'll see you back here for more of the Octo expansion Let's Play. Take care, guys, and I'll see you next time.